Hey, I had a really good suggestion for a video. Some basic lead guitar stuff, and that's what I want to do too. Let's do something based on the key of A. It could be minor or 7, it doesn't really matter right now. It's going to be kind of a rock and roll sound. So if you start with an A chord, which I'm going to recommend just using your index finger like this. So that's the index laying flat on 2nd fret. Basically you're hitting 3 strings, 5th, 4th, and 3rd. That's important. It's just kind of you're getting warmed up. There's going to be some cool stuff. But I say start with a chord because everything kind of projects out of that chord. The chord is the foundation of what we're going to be doing. You're just tuning your ear, you're checking, making sure your amp works, making sure your fingers work, making sure your guitar is in tune, making sure you can hit the right string. I just hit the low E. If you're in a music store and the owner of the store hands you a Les Paul and you're like, what do I do with that? Just hit an A chord. Okay. Next thing is we want to find an A note on the 7th fret of the 4th string with your ring finger. That's going to matter. Alright, let's get good at jumping from the A chord to that A note. You can give it a shake if you want, which isn't this. It's your forearm is kind of rotating. See how my wrist is rotating too? I think it's more in the arm and wrist than not just finger. Hard to describe. That's an important thing what we got going here. A chord, A note. Now if you accidentally hit your 5th string with that 4th string, you got this, which is an octave. It's an open A, a lower A plus a higher A. That's an octave. And if you're tuning, you might check, make sure that sound's in tune. You could, adjust. So good, we found that A at the 7th fret. There's a lot of things we can do right now that are pretty cool. You can slide into that note like this. That's the ring finger going from 5th fret to 7th fret on the 4th string. Or you could hammer on from 5th fret to 7th fret with your index to the ring like this. I mean, this is stuff I kind of had to figure out on my own, and you would figure it out too. But it's kind of fun, we can do it together, I'm just kind of reliving things here. You can always switch your pickup selector. Kind of, we're still testing, warming up, stretching. Kind of like yoga, we're just getting warmed up here. So what we got here is an A chord. This is a G note to an A note, G A. Or you could just play them straight. Next, let's add a C note, which is 5th fret on the 3rd string with our index finger, like this. It's going to start getting cool. Now it's not just so, just notes. It's starting to sound like something. So I did G, A, C, C, A. Reminds me of Peter Frampton's Do You Feel Like We Do? Do you feel like I feel? I want to thank you. Good time, whatever. I like that lick, G-A-C-C-A. And if you want to put a little saying in there, it is time to rock. We'll make our own song. It is time to rock. It is time to rock. And just like a sentence, you can stretch it out, say it shorter. You can stutter. It is time to rock. It is time to rock. Just for fun. So that's a 5-7-5-7. You can hit any note twice. That's pretty cool. Just play with numbers. You can hit it, like I say, you can hit a note 3 times, 1 time, skip a note, hit it 4 times. Just with those 3 notes, G, A, and C. And, you know, we could stop right there, but there's more. We'll add the D on the 3rd string, 7th fret. Oops, I missed. Which that sounds kind of goofy like that. It doesn't sound like it really fits. But if you go land on that A, like that is better, isn't it? Because we've conditioned our ear to that A chord. If you don't have a context, this stuff may not make a lot of sense. But if you train your ear to feel, your ear feels the color of that A. Can you feel it? Can you feel the color? Can you smell the color of the A? You just gotta get it. What I'm saying is you gotta internalize that A chord and A note. So I say kind of funny things like smell the color of the A chord. Now you're free to go do your own thing with that. But I'll do a little more here. You can change the order. See how many combinations you can do with those 4 notes. And your job is to get fluid and fluent with those notes. And we're building dexterity, coordination, hearing, and you know, it won't sound like just a, you know, dumping a box of silverware on the floor. It's going to sound pretty cool. And remember to resolve on that A note. It's kind of your safest place. That's your safe place. You know, you can resolve on anything, any note, anywhere, and say that's what I'm doing. If you can make it work, that's cool. But this is a note that, you know, it's just going to be a bullseye every time. But you'll get sick of hitting the same bullseye. You'll want a different target. But for this, I hear the next note. Do you? That's an E. You can slide into it. That's 9th fret, 3rd string. Sounds a lot more kind of full, doesn't it? The crazy thing about guitar is you can find that note all over the place. I don't mean to load you down with too much information, but you can find it on 2nd string, 5th fret. That's probably the way it's normally taught. 2nd fret, or 2nd string, 5th fret. And you can also play your 1st string open, which may seem a little awkward, but if you let them overlap, people do hybrid picking, where you pick the note with your pick, and then your middle finger gets the other one. Ooh, I hit a wrong note, but it was cool. That's how I learned, is making mistakes. Now I put them all together, I got a killer chord. So I hit the second string open, and it sounded weird, didn't it? Another bad note. But if we put it into a chord, you got, which in tablature would be a 0, 7, 5, 0, 0. I like that. Let's do one more idea. There's some notes that are really good to bend, some that are not. I won't maybe go on a long time about the bummer notes, but try not to bend the A note right now. That's going to sound, it's not going to fit with our chord very well. But this note is a D bending up to an E, and it's bending the distance of 2 frets, which is called a whole step. Whole step. When I bend, I use 3 fingers, or just 2. Maybe 3. All 3 on the same string pushing together, so you got triple power and more control. Try it with 3, 2, and then 1. The poor finger by itself, it will definitely hurt if you don't use multiple fingers to bend. Try to hold that note up. And then hit it and let it down. Isn't that fun? It takes a while to develop that vibrato so it sounds like a consistent wave pattern. You don't want a jagged, square, insane pattern well, maybe you do, but it's not that musical to our ear. That's a lot of information, but it's something that it's doable. And who plays like that? Angus Young, Joe Perry, Ace Frehley, or anybody that's ever heard of AC/DC or Kiss or Aerosmith probably plays like that. Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Paul Kossoff from Free, probably Peter Green and Hubert Sumlin, Keith Richards, Mick Taylor, Ron Wood. You've heard of the Rolling Stones. Eric Clapton, So this, there's always somebody that says, what's the program? Are we learning anything? It's like, dude, try to keep up here. I'm kidding. Okay, we're having fun. But I beg you, this is really good material to learn, and it's really fun, and it's not that hard, and it's gonna, we can grow from this. We can add more notes. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I'll draw this out over and over for people, and they're like, the dad will come in and say, I want to talk to you about, I want to get organized with the lessons. Like, you can't hear, you can't hear that? Okay, let's get organized. That's okay. But still, uh, I push this in front of people and they're just like, when are we going to learn something good? I'm like, it's okay. Okay, so now, now it's all out there. So, no mystery here. We can get into some shredding and tapping and speed picking and all that, but a lot of times the song doesn't need that. I'll be recording and I'll be adding more and more complicated parts and making my part harder and harder and really trying to make it super clever and kind of boxing myself into a corner, and I'll listen back and I'll go, oh man, I need to simplify that. I need to slow down and just play the basic stuff. And this is about all Angus Young does from AC/DC. Well, he does more, but this is where I think he would agree this is good material. All right, you know what to do. Let me know how you're doing. Love to hear from you. Let's rock.